So how is family constellation similar or different than ancestral healing?
I don't know anything about ancestral healing, so I cannot compare. But family constellations, we are healing ourselves and we are healing the practical obstacles in our daily life. And that doesn't have to do anything with your ancestors and your family. We're only searching for the solution in your early life and with your ancestors.
A warm welcome to you, Claes, in today's podcast.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Manjari.
So Claes is a therapist based out of Netherlands with more than 2 decades of experience. And he is into family constellation for around 24 years. And last 2 years, he's training in family constellation with joining hands in Mumbai in India. So today we understand from Claes what exactly family constellation is and all about these modalities. But before we understand about family constellation, let's know from him how his journey so far has been.
Is that directly the first question you have?
Yes, like how his journey. So, Claes, how has been your journey so far in the modality family constellation as a constellator as well as a teacher?
Yeah, well, I was into Gestalt therapy before that. And in Europe, there was a beginning of that people found out about Bert Hellinger and his work, because Bert Hellinger started with family constellations. And for my own process, I went to a workshop on the other side of Europe in Czech Republic and did some Gestalt and family constellation work. And then I found out that this modality is something completely different, good for so many different things, that I wanted to know more about it. But actually my work was in consultancy. So I was advising management teams and directors and entrepreneurs. So I started by learning organizational constellations about, and as a service for companies and other organizations. And from there on, I had already been so interested in the field of self-healing and self-growth that it was not a big step to step into family constellations and work with others with subjects that had to do with their own personal growth and also their personal issues and barriers and blocks. So from organizational constellations, and I'm still doing these organizational constellations, I moved on onto the healing modalities, and the people that everybody that's interested in your own personal development to serve and work together with everybody. So that's a little bit how I rolled into this family constellation modality.
Quite an interesting journey from being consultant, business constellation to now being family constellation. And Claes, little bit about what family constellation is all about and who should get it done or when should we get it done?
Always with family constellations, it's very hard to explain what family constellations are and how it is done, but it's done as a modality for healing issues that have got to do with your own mental and emotional abilities, and to enlarge the possibilities that you have to react when you're always in conflict, when you have depression, anxieties, when you're suicidal, but also if you have little blocks that are both physical and emotional and mental, when you have stress, when you have certain programs that you run when you start working for somebody, like working too hard or too little, or do too much and get too little done, or you're stuck in your career, you're stuck in your personal relationship with your partner. All these kind of issues can be addressed by family constellations. And family constellations is a modality in which you look back to what's the root cause of it. And we are searching for the root cause in the first years of your own life. And everybody is born in a family. So that's where the first 6, 7, 8 years of your life you have been. If you have not been in a family, then still you're out of the blood of your mother because you were in her womb. And so the biological influence of your mother and also your father, we search in that. And these first years were also before you were able to think and to before you had any schooling, you didn't have that much of language yet, and there your unconscious programs were formed, and that's usually that relationships and that impact of the first years of your life and of the bloodlines that you have are what we are searching for, and where we are looking for healing and for root causes of behavior that is not helping you.
Okay, so then that is pretty about anything and everything. If we can do it for our emotional needs, for our professional and for our monetary needs, then and relationship, then it is we can go to family constellation for about any issues in our life, as I understand.
Any mental and emotional issues.
Mentally.
When you want to have your house done, you don't go to me. But somebody who a week ago, somebody who had a firm and his machines kept on falling out, he came to me and I said, well, aren't there mechanics able to do that? And he said, I've done all the mechanics. And then still, I said, okay, well, if you've done everything that where you should be, and then you come to me, let's do a family constellation about it. And then there was some influence from an ancestor, and that was also the former owner of that company who founded it. And he was in a spooky way still part of the programming of the mind of the present generation, and even in a spooky way, it seemed like he was influencing on the machine as well, or at least on how the people were dealing with the machine. So the most strange things can be addressed by family constellations and organizational constellations.
So, as you mentioned, most strange thing, can you give some more examples of strange things which you would have healed in your experience?
I have healed nobody, and family constellations don't heal, but people who join family constellations, they see something and they change, and because their consciousness and their ideas about themselves change through family constellations, they heal themselves. And so there was a new light in the mind and in the heart of the entrepreneur that asked to heal his machine park. And he changed. And so his machine park changed, maybe. I don't know yet. It was last week. But these people that have had hair loss, their hair loss got less because of the influence of some mental program running, a self-image program. People who lost their relationship found their relationship back from it. I'm not so good at remembering, because every time you have to start with a clean sheet and then you forget what you've done. And I never ask, did it work? Because I set my clients free. That's better for their dignity. So, but they've come with so many various questions on their um, physical problems, and hurting arms and backs and necks, etc., and relationships and people that would not talk to them, and houses that and property in the family that were in family situations were so stuck in the family with the ancestors and people from different castes, etc. And then people have found out that after a family constellation, someone who didn't want to talk to them called them up the same day or the day after, and that's really weird, but it happens now and then. Sometimes I feel I'm in the field of wizardry.
In the field of?
Wizardry.
Okay.
That I'm a wizard. I'm not, but sometimes it feels like we are wizards when we do family constellation.
So can we say that there's an energetic shift in a person as well as in a person's life when he goes for this kind of modality?
Yes, I really feel it's energy work. And in family constellations, you can see the non-locality of energy. The theory of Einstein, he called it spooky actions on a distance or something like that. And there he said that the two little elements can get entangled, and then one of the two can be on the other part of the world. And if you roll a dice on this part, then the other one on the other side of the world also rolls the dice with the exact same number. And we use that quantum entanglement, and it's happening in all of our lives, and we use it to disentangle and set people free. And I don't think it are small particles. I think it are rays of energy that are entangled.
So you mentioned about entanglement and disentanglement. So a little bit more about what is an entanglement like in our life? What is an entanglement?
An entanglement is an influence or a connection or a relationship that you have that does not serve you, that doesn't set you free. An entanglement is a relationship which is unconsciously affecting you. And you feel obliged to stay in that connection or to stay in your own role in that connection, just not to be thrown out of the system. You want to belong. Everybody wants to belong also. And when this entanglement in your life is there, you are not free to use all the capacities that you have because you're bound by the entanglement. For instance, if you are as a daughter entangled with your father, then and you're the small one and your father is the big one and you want to please your father, you can become a pleaser too much in the family and in the relationship you have with your spouse, and you can be a pleaser and the small one and also the one asking for attention all the time in your professional life too much also. If you solve the entanglement where it started, in this case with your father, you can grow up in your own personal relationship and you can really feel, do I like this guy and why do I like him, and is this an equal relationship? And also in your work you can play different roles than only the role of the little girl, for instance.
So you mentioned a lot about family and ancestors and father and daughter entangled. So how is family constellation similar or different than ancestral healing?
I don't know anything about ancestral healing, so I cannot compare. But family constellations, we are healing ourselves and we are healing the practical obstacles in our daily life. And that doesn't have to do anything with your ancestors and your family. We're only searching for the solution in your early life and with your ancestors. So we heal, we solve the entanglements that you have there to set you free here and now. And nothing is unique in this world of healing and of personal development. So could be some other modalities do more or less the same in a different way. And the way we do family constellations is we have a client who has a problem in the present, or an issue or something to work on in the present, and we ask other people in the room. Family constellations are done in groups. We ask other people in the room to be the stand-in of people that are of an influence, direct or indirect, on the subject. So if the subject is, I'm always the little girl in the work I do and in the relationships I have, then you feel I'm the little girl. Well, let's put up, and then we ask others to stand in for the father and the mother and the woman herself. And then the others are invited to be and step in the energy of the father and the mother of the client. And when they do that, they are put up in a kind of a tableau vivant, a kind of a situation in the field, in the room, in the center of the room, and they are put there on a specific place. Well, the place is specific for my intuition or the intuition of the client, and they then talk as if they are your mother and your father. They speak by themselves with the mouth and of your parents, and that's the unique and sometimes felt spooky part of family constellations. It's then because you really feel as if your parents are in the room, however, they are not, and they are at the same time. Their energy is invited in the room, more or less. And then some interactions are going on, and as an outsider who's not part of the system, I can see where the blind spots are and where the entanglements are, and then there are sentences to find out if it's true what we think about it, and there are liberating sentences and interventions that can help people and set them free.
So, as you mentioned, that family constellation is done in groups. So, has been your experience? Are people comfortable explaining or discussing their issues in a group?
There's no problem at all with people in groups that are sharing. Of course, we need a safe place. Of course, we have strict rules about discretion. Sorry, my English is my second language in Europe, but and it's a different English than the Indian English also. So we have to cope with each other. But I try to make the place as safe as possible, and the people look at each other, and we start always with a meditation, because the connection with your own energy is needed to step into the modality. And then I've never seen anybody that in the end decided to join a workshop that they are hesitant to tell their story. And if they are, then it's no problem at all, because I and others don't have to know anything about the person and about the parents, etc., and also not even the issue. We can do it without telling anybody what we came for. Only maybe a little bit the facilitator. So there's no problem there.
And are there any limitations of family constellation, like what we cannot do through family constellation? Some issues also?
The limitations might have to do with my personal story. I'm a guy who is quite comfortable to sit with people who are murderers and rapists and people who are on the side of the perpetrator. But if you have, as a facilitator, have difficulty to see your own parents in the eyes or sit in a room together with people who have done things that society doesn't like or whatever, then that's a limitation. And the limitation, of course, is it doesn't heal anybody, and there's no guarantee of how it heals. It changes perspectives. That's my experience. And where it heals, there are no guarantees for that. That's the other limitation. But you can put up, for me, you can put up the aliens. You can put up a far nephew. You can. I did constellations to find somebody who murdered several other people. I've helped judges to put up a constellation to find out what he had to plea in the end, or he had to decide about things. You can do so many things with family constellation. That's the fun of my job.
And what's like you worked extensively in India as well as in Netherlands. So, what change do you find in people coming in, and how different it is? This modality works in Europe as well as the Indian context.
Yeah. That's an interesting question, because for the biggest part, I found out that cultural differences are different than psychological differences. In psychology and how people react in families, we are quite the same everywhere in the world. We all have a biological mother and a biological father. We all love them, and we hate them even more than we love them very often. And that's both in Holland as here. The difference is what I realized after I did the first day of doing a workshop. In Holland, when you've done a family constellation and you ask the parents or the siblings or a few siblings in the field, then 3 weeks later or so, they see their parents and the parents of their husband. And here, usually, they see them the same night, because people are living in the same place. And when people here are saying, I have a problem with my mother-in-law, we didn't talk for 3 months, then in Europe, I would think, okay, probably so they went there every month, and the last 3 months they didn't go there, but here they were sitting in the same household for 3 months without talking to each other. Doesn't happen in Europe. And here, if there is a problem between you and your mother, and I ask people here, please look at her, then when I say in Europe, please look at your mother in the eyes, it might be that people start crying a little bit when they do. And here it's more common that people in a family constellation, why should I look at my mother? I will never look at her. She can rot in the seventh hell. I will never do that in the rest of my life. And so the internal struggle is so much deeper here, and the family trauma has such a there's so little ways out of the relationship in the family, and here it's also much more difficult if you really cannot make it up with your partner to have a divorce. In Europe, in Holland, half of the relationship, the marriages are ending, and it takes a lot longer before you get married. People start living together before they get married. So here, life on the realm of household and a family is much more difficult. And the traumas that came from two generations before, for instance, with the separation from Pakistan, are much more present, where in Europe it's already a generation longer ago that we had the World War, Second World War. So here, under the surface, for many people, life is much more of a struggle on the field of personal trauma and painful experiences that are influencing your daily life. Also, living with your partner must be more difficult here. Also, women are so judgmental of their partners, and men are so excluded in families, or they exclude themselves so much. That's really there's more pain on that realm here. And in Europe, there's much more avoiding of painful relationship. But here, on the other hand, people are more addicted to their comfort zone.
Yeah, because maybe people get used to that environment, and that whatever is not, whatever toxicity is there, so they're just used to like, we know it's toxic to drink, but still people who are alcoholics, they will drink. So it's just
and here, because it's so difficult, people just give up, and they say, okay, if life on this field is hard, I'll just take it, and I become numb, and I just shut off of my feelings, and then you are more emotional and less in connection with your feelings at the same time. Yeah. So there's a lot for me to do in India. There's a lot to heal, because it's beyond your imagination how you can feel.
So as you mentioned that people numb their feeling a lot, and they give up because they feel that they have to be in a particular relationship or in a particular setup. So when a person gives up and still does a family constellation, does the energy moves, or it is up to that person?
Yeah. So when they have given up and are asking for family constellations, then there are at least two voices in the person. One that has given up, and the one that gives it another try with a new modality. So I'm here to make the voice a little bit bigger that has not given up yet, that does the new modality. And then together with that voice, we look at what's the root cause of that numbness. Where did it start? Where didn't you take life? And instead of life, took survival of life, or and there we can work together, because when somebody asks for a family constellation, he or she hasn't given up fully, and then we can work.
And typically, how many sessions are required, or it depends on individual?
It's fully dependent on an individual, but one session of 1.5 hours can already do so much that there are many people who are, mostly the people who are not professional in the field of energy healing, that have enough with only one family constellation. And usually they do a family constellation, and half a year later, many things have changed, but then new new subjects. I didn't find the word I was looking for. New subjects arise, and they come for a second family constellation in half a year later or 3 months later. Very rarely people want to do 4 or 5 constellations in a row. But family constellations is a modality that is I looked for it because I was impatient with my own healing, and I needed the strongest modality that could work in the shortest time. And I think with family constellations, I found that.
So, what changed for you when you did your family constellation, or when you started teaching? Because because if it's an energy modality, then some shift will happen to the person who does it with other people. So, what has been a shift for you, for yourself personally?
Everything changed. Really, everything. So I did family constellations. I was quite detached from everything, and I found out there was a big influence from my mother, who was bipolar and with heavy depressions, and I was also a little depressed guy who had nothing, who was a loner, very alone in life, etc. And the only thing that helped me was my job as a consultant, as working for companies. I could do that. I felt there is in that field, I have some qualities, but I was a loner. And when I started doing my family constellations, then first thing that happened is I couldn't do my job anymore. I remembered everything during the day, what the people in the management team were saying and what they said this morning. And I told in the afternoon, but this morning you said this, now you're saying that. What's the difference? Why are you changing? I forgot everything. So I lost my work. That's the first thing that changed. And then I was looking for other work. And then I found people to cooperate with, so I was less lonely in my work. And the work that I was serving was more personal. It got deeper and it got more in the personal life. I found my wife after that. So the entanglement with the bad relationships that my parents had, and that mother that I could not really trust without her fault, I found out that has been a block for my personal love life, also the relationship. So I found a wife, and we had a family together, and my work changed, and so my whole life has changed after that. So many things. And that was also the reason to say, okay, if this works this good. And I also, before that, I was depressed every December, the whole month. I couldn't do anything. And I found out when this works and I'm not depressed anymore, I'm not bound to follow my mother in the same realm, then I should learn how to facilitate this modality. That's where my motivation came from. So, yeah, that's a little bit of the personal background and what it worked, how it did for me.
Claes, any concluding remarks for the audience about this modality or how to go about it from your side?
Yeah, in India, I was the last days in India, and we were healing and honoring our ancestors. And I think that's a good thing to do, to get back the photographs of your parents, your grandparents, and realize that that their life and their love life has brought you into this life. So what I have done for a long while every morning is look in the mirror and then you look in the mirror. I kept on looking in my own eyes, and when you do that for 2-3 minutes, your face changes. You see, because you're staring in your own eyes, and then your face changes. And I saw the face of my father and my grandfather, all kind of ancestral faces I saw in my own face. And then I turned around and I imagined all these ancestors behind me. And with that image, I stepped into the day. Do that. That's the first start. Look yourself in the eye every morning. See all the old faces in the mirror, all the ancestral faces, and imagine they are behind you. Then you're not alone anymore, and then you get the power of your ancestors when you step in your life.
Yeah. So we say, look into the mirror and see. There's always a saying, look into the mirror and see the truth and all. So maybe it.
But I mean it literally. Take a mirror and look in your own eyes, and then keep on looking. Keep on looking for 2 minutes at least, and you will see how hard it is and how spooky it feels, because you see all these other faces. But you can also just close your eyes and imagine your parents behind you and their parents behind them, and you can feel the flow of life. You can imagine the flow of life is running through them and has reached you and makes you more than just an individual.
Very beautiful. I have a full-size mirror. I'm going to try this today itself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's nice to just close your eyes. Imagine, here's your father coming, here's your mother coming. Look them in the eyes and ask them, can I have your back? And then they stand behind you and support you. And then you can ask your grandparents to look at them and stand behind them. Yeah.
Beautiful. Many, many thanks, Claes, to take out time from your busy schedule to be with us and share your wisdom, more than 20 years of wisdom with us. Many, many thanks.
It was a pleasure to be your guest. And one thing I want to say is how much I like and love my life that's growing here in Mumbai. I love Mumbai people because they're so open to me and to learning, and I love it. So I'm very happy to be with you and to be here in Mumbai.
Awesome.
Welcome.
How was it for you, Claes?
It was fine. It was okay. I forgot what we talked about, so that's good.
Okay, that's the experience. Not the water, but while you were doing it. While you were doing it, was it good for you?
Yeah, it was okay, I guess. Yeah.
See, I'm already saying presuppositions. Was it good for you? I'm already saying that. Please say good to me.
Yes. Is it? Do you want to repeat something? Do you want to add something?
No. I always keep it as natural as possible. The lady behind your back also came, but we keep it. Yeah, we keep it as natural as possible.
Okay. Yeah.
So
all right.
So we keep it, and maybe I take few months to post it because I pre-record the podcast and then post it, ration it to post it, because I don't post more than 2 podcasts a month. And meanwhile, I would need a photograph of yours and your social media links, because I will collaborate with you so that your audience can also see this podcast and come to know that you have gone live and you spoke about this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And the modality you shared, actually, I'm going to do it today.
All right. That's fine. Let me know how it went.
Yeah.
And whatever you need. Usually when you fill in my first name, you get everything, and a photograph you can get from joining hands also, but I can also.
I asked because many guests would be angry. Why did you take this? Is not a good photograph. Please take a nice one. So if you're okay with any photograph, I just pick it.
I am okay with everything.
And if your social profile is with your name, I get it online.
And when you don't, then you know how to find me on WhatsApp.
Yes.
My ego is not so big, so I can handle it.
Okay. See you. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye bye.